Bog, my man, what's going on?
Not much. Just chilling. I mean, the world is, I think there's just a lot of chaos going on with penguins down and feet up. I don't know what to think anymore.
Oh, dude, I don't know. It is funny. I've got this thread that I'm working on right now that's going to take just a little bit longer to finish, but it's basically this. I don't know. Actually, I should probably just save it until a few more people get on and I tweet this out. But point being, there's a lot of good stuff I think still happening in the NFT marketplace right now. It's not as cool as what it looks like on the surface, right? It's the exact same thing where we are right now with what we saw with that first little leg up in December across a lot of these assets, right? You know, the way that these things work, you see a quick leg up, you see some consolidation for, sideways for a little bit, and then you see another leg up. And with each one, you see increasing volume across the board. Um, so yeah, I'll dive into that a little bit more, but there's some interesting stuff that I've been looking at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out like what makes like a project Lindy, and it's interesting to see this whole like stealth mint and then, no Discord. Everyone, it just pretty much is organic as it gets because there've been so many projects that released over the last week that died instantly, and every time we think this thing's gonna die, it literally just keeps on going. So it's like the Trump effect, like you just can't put this project down. It's not going away, no matter like how we feel about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, I think it's one of those things that, like, if you're talking just about, the feed, it's like, from a meme perspective, there are certain memes that pop up that I think just somehow stick around as much as it pisses people off. It just happens, right? And, maybe the Beeple thing is the only thing keeping it running at this point. I don't get why people would continue to buy it personally. And this is from, like, I haven't sold any of those, but I just don't get why anybody would buy it. Like, it makes no sense to me.
Not gonna lie, Kaleo. This morning I was feeling a little underexposed, but I also bought a Wonky Stonk last night. So let's clear that up a little
Love
bit
to
as
hear
well.
it.
I did not buy a foot. I bought a
Bro, that's the
Wonky.
way to go. Flight to qual.
Uh,
Actually, there's so many good stonks right now, just hanging out on the floor. And you know what's crazy right now? I'm wondering if my account is shadow banned because as far as search banned, I'm cert
you are, yeah, you are, because I can't even tag you in the messages
I'm
sometimes.
cert
Like I have to search your whole
yeah,
name.
I don't get it. And like I'm searching on there right now. I see when I type in Crypto Kaleo from the LedgArt account, like on the PC, I see Crypto Kaleo B, Crypto Kaleo 19, Crypto Kaleo 01, Crypto Kaleo 101, one Crypto Kaleo, Crypto Kaleo underscore 2, one underscore Crypto Kaleo, Crypto Kaleo 23, Crypto Kaleo 25, and Crypto Kaleop. But there is no Crypto Kaleo on that list anywhere to be found. And I am like searching hard for it.
Don't forget Crypto Calito.
Yeah. Dude, I'm wondering if that's like, I don't know. I'm wondering, like, I know that shadow ban that I've had has popped up and gone away and popped up and gone away, but it's kind of bullshit toward the narrative that Elon paints that, hey, if you pay for this check mark and all that stuff, it's a search booster, reply booster, or whatever else. Because every single one of those fake accounts that are impersonating me don't have a check mark. So how does that work? I don't get it.
To be fair, it does say coming soon on that part. Uh, Not that it's been rolled out yet. So
I forget what is the site to be able to check if you are or not. Actually, I think I know how to find it. I've got a DM from somebody back in the day that I can track it down. But okay, I mean, from the looks of it, I'm not sure if it was the fact that I tweeted out feed pics or what, or if it happened before that, one way or the other. Shadow banned at the moment, but it's part of life. is what it is. We've been there before. We push on regardless. So no, man, I missed y'all yesterday. It was the first time that we haven't had a space in a while, and I apologize. I'm going to get back on the grind now because, again, we are going to keep hosting these until the meme becomes reality and until we cross above that 0.4206, whatever, 0.42069 meme area. It's going to happen one way or the other. So, got to keep up the momentum, keep it rolling. And I feel good about it, man. I mean, again, I think that one of the good things about taking a little pause, again, looking at it, there have been a lot of solid snipes that people have put up as far as what's been listed on the floor. I think there's a lot of solid opportunity there right now. I need to get on to Dev, and we'll see if he's a man of his word. If it does retest his area, and get him to get back in on the acquisitions he was talking about. But yeah, dude, there's some solid stonks right now available on that floor area, and it's pretty, like, again, I think it's one of those things where what you see in these type of situations, it's all super low, whatever, people that have looked for quick flips that are just looking to get out, whatever it is. The marketplace as a whole right now, I'm just going to list some of the stuff that I've got in this thread. So whether you realize it or not, the next mini NFT bull market is here, right? All the necessary catalysts are in place, and the fuse to ignite the rally has already been lit. If you look across the NFT marketplace, it bottomed out in October, and it's slowly been picking up ever since. So sales in USD by month: October, 460 million; November, 544 million; December, 678 million; January to date, and we're not even fully halfway through January yet, 417 million. So you extrapolate that out, January should finish anywhere between the 800 to $1 billion mark, right? So we are slowly but surely ramping up. And the crazy thing too is if you look at the comparisons between now and July/August of 21, there are a lot more similarities than what people are giving it credit for. So contrary to the narrative circulating that NFTs have always sold off into ETH strength, the first major ETH NFT bull run in that July/September 21 coincided with ETH having a major rally from 1.7K to 4K off its summer lows from that July to September timeframe. And prior to that, May, June, July, if you look at a bunch of the collections that ended up doing incredibly well throughout that August, September period, there were a lot of the collections that were slowly making new highs throughout that, the previous period, right? The squiggles, the apes, you can go down a list of a few different others. They were all kind of in that category. And right now, we've seen that same thing right now. Whether it be Pudgies, squiggles again, right? Like, you could look at some of the other random projects, like whether it's pandas or kilobits, right? Like, you can go down the list of a bunch of projects that are out there that have slowly been doing that same thing, quietly making ETH highs. But the crazy thing throughout all of this is, again, if you look back to that the summer of 21 and what happened there, the total users was relatively, and unique buyers, I should say, was relatively flat through about July. And it was as the volume ramped up, unique buyers came after, right? So volume picked up first, started to trend up first, unique buyers trended up next. And you just had this huge exponential effect where both started taking off simultaneously and breaking out. And that's what I think that we're on the verge of seeing right now. We're seeing volume start to ramp up. Unique buyers has been relatively flat. But what happens is, as volume continues to ramp up, interest for unique buyers that have not touched the market starts to raise, right? And it inherently attracts people. So I think we are on the verge of one of these massive volume surges back to the multi-billion-dollar months, whether it's the end of this month or whether it starts in February, which is probably more likely. And that, when the volume and the people really come back, is where you start to see the massive and insane growth. So right now, what you're seeing across the board, you're seeing a little bit of profit taking from some of the recent moves. You're seeing some of that, the people that are just looking for the quick flip, looking to get out. But I really have a feeling that the people that have the higher conviction toward where this is all headed, especially with the strength that we're seeing in the broader market, that I think there's going to be a lot of payout on the other side of that as soon as, everything else starts to pick up. So that's my long tangent. Sorry about that. But I think it's really, it's kind of paramount to understanding where we are in this point of the cycle.
Yeah, and that's what I've been trying to say too for the, past couple of weeks. We're at the start of what could be, starting of a bull run, but like I would not say we're in a bull run until we see, like consistent 500 sale days and stuff. People are like, "Oh, we're pumping with like 80 sales in 24 hours." Like that, like okay, take your profit if you want to, but it's not a true pump at the moment.
Oh, exactly, man. And that's what I'm saying. When you look across a lot of this, even floor metrics are incredibly deceptive with a bunch of these projects, right? Like even Chubbyverse, right? Take Chubbyverse, for instance. Whenever penguins started flying and whenever the cute narrative really started taking off, Chubbyverse had a massive spike up to like 0.33 or so. And it's cooled back down, not to where it was in the 0.08, 0.07 area before the big pudgy whatever takeoff. But, it's back around 0.16, 0.17. But if you look at the overall distribution of what's available there from 0.16 back to 0.33, it's thinner than what it was previous to that move. So point being, all it takes is a little bit of momentum returning back to the market for a lot of these projects that have the extremely thin floors of people basically racing to the bottom to try to, capture whatever they can from this while everything's quiet. So deceptively, I think from the surface, it can look like, oh man, whatever is down to whatever. But like when you're looking at the overall, what it actually takes to move some of these, when the market turns on, you're talking about not just tens of sales a day. You're not talking about hundreds. You're talking about across some of these collections, the potential for thousands of these thousands of sales per day across the board. That's where the mania really starts to happen, and it doesn't just happen. It happens basically like that, right? It's not one of those things that slowly trickles its way there. It's when this shit moves, it moves. Like look at the stonks whenever they went from 0.07 to like zero point 0.3 in a couple of days. If you were on a little vacation, and you logged out for like 36 hours and you came back and you were planning on buying something before, you're like, holy shit, like what happened? Right? So whenever it really starts to pick up across the market, it's like that. But I mean, it lasts for like 1 to 2 months worth of that insanity. So again, I think
And that
yeah,
was really just a couple sweeps too. That wasn't even like, like a true, increase in volume. That was, King Degen, Bog, and then, a couple trickle in here and there, right? That wasn't, uh, any mass amount of, new wallet volume or just multiple wallet volume at all. Like once you start seeing things like that, when you have, 300 different wallets buying in one day, that's when you start seeing those true movements.
exactly, man. And that's the thing. I really think that basically what everything is about right now is, positioning yourself for, okay, you understand that there's the opportunity for something like that that's coming, right? So basically, just doing whatever you can to position yourself for when that does hit, because regardless of what people are saying about, hey, the bull market is back for NFTs, that it's fully here, and that you need to, start taking profit across everything across the board. While I respect that sentiment, and I do agree that if there is a significant amount of anything that, if it's significant to you, it's life changing, and it's basically a gamble by throwing it forward, then yeah, you definitely should. But if it's one of those things where you're just like, yeah, it is what it is. It might be nice. I'm accustomed to. I'm just so hardened by this bear market that I'm tired of this shit. I'm ready to exit. It is what I just want to be done with everything while I can. I think there are a lot of people that are going to find themselves FOMOing back into shit here in the next few weeks, and they really will end up hurting themselves in that type of situation, right? It's a type of thing where people just find themselves in the same narrative time after time again, where in NFTs, a lot of it just goes down to patience. And I really think when you look at the combination of where we are as far as unique, if unique buyers was just skyrocketing and had already curtailed and started cratering back down, if volume had just already had this massive peak and your project didn't really do much throughout the course of that, I completely get it, right? But when you're looking right now at what's happening, though there are some projects that have shown strength, the broader marketplace as a whole has remained relatively stagnant, but slowly picking up, right? It has not had one of those months like August of 21 where out of the blue you get a few $1 billion worth of liquidity that, just ends up injecting itself into the market. We're not there yet. But I really think it's just one of those things where it is a matter of time as far as that occurring. And whatever is doing well right now, whatever has done well, whatever has a presence, some type of interest that people have seen that has positioned themselves for that will have the opportunity to be a leader whenever everything does take off, right? Whether it's stonks, pudgy penguins, whether it's the damn feet picks, whatever the hell it is, it's there are a lot of things that I think right now do have more of an opportunity. But, one of the things that I think is incredibly encouraging right now, actually, Bog, you brought up at the very beginning of this, you said, hey, there have been for every feet picks that's out there that's doing well, there have been about 50 other projects that you've seen pop up in the past week. We're starting to see new mints again, and they're all going to zero, right? So the majority of this shit isn't doing well. When the majority of the pure trash that just pops up on the feed all does well, that things are getting a little bit too frothy and you probably need to start exiting around that point. But as long as, it's one out of every 50, that's not scary to me. If anything, it's encouraging.
Dude, 100%. I wanted to make another point, a little bit of a side note, but it's funny because a lot of people instead of I don't think they're really catching on to charts like I thought, but even in the huddle Discord, someone posted on a burner and they're like, the Penguins are going down because everyone's talking about the feet picks and we should, you know what I mean? It's like that cope where it's like, dog, read the chart. We're gonna go to 4 regardless. You know what I mean? I think 9x9 sold 20. Whatever it is, it doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? It's just look at the chart. It was bound for a correction with everything, and it's totally fine. But people Arash still don't there's the market is still insanely inefficient when the participants can't piece that together or read each other. It's just the tribalism, the max, you know what I mean? It's obviously I love penguins, but it's you don't want to be we're having people can't have fun or even if you can't even have fun, it's just look at the charts and walk away. It's totally fine. A lot of people are too overly invested in stuff. I don't know. It's just charting NFTs actually kind of makes it a lot easier. Really, you kind of know it's just holding a shit coin for the long term. I don't know. I'm not selling any penguins. I don't care what the penguin price does in the meantime. But there's people that are already coping on the timeline, and I'm getting a little I don't know. My engagement has gone up, but I don't think it's super bullish by any means. It's just better than it was 2-3 months ago when it was completely dead. When if you got if I got 10 followers in a week, I'm like, oh wow, that's fantastic. But we're starting to see people dipping their toes in, but I really think we're trading amongst ourselves still. I don't think the new participants are, or if I think there might be just some people on the sidelines that are slowly dipping their toes in. But to think that we've seen that run, the new money is not flowing in yet. So I think we are still pretty early in this echo bubble.
Exactly, man. And that's what I'm getting at. I really think that it's way earlier than what people give it credit for. And there are a lot of people that, do get salty whenever you're involved in one ecosystem or project and you start talking about anything outside of that. I think there's a natural gravitation, especially if that project, has any type of a creep downward, right? Any type of a pause. There's a natural gravitation for people to just blame whatever else is happening, right? I think it's a terrible mentality to have because when the market is strong enough, right? Like I said earlier, whatever this thin, the listing that people have, the race to the bottom that people have, it doesn't take much when the market mechanics are right to be able to overcome that. If anything else, if they're right, if somehow the exhaustion is here, then hey, they've done what they needed to. They took profit and it's going to collapse no matter what project you talk about, right? So I think that's something that a lot of people don't give it credit for. If the market is exhausted one way or the other, some of this shit's going to go down. It's just that simple. But if the market is not exhausted, you're going to have a continuation across the assets that are strong, regardless of whoever in your community is talking about a different project, right? That's where tribalism starts to get toxic. It's fun. It's all fun, and it's easy to support people whenever everything is going up and everything is going up consistently. But whenever everything starts to take a little bit of a breather, it is interesting to watch when people do get irritated, because like you said, Bog, I think at that point, you're starting to see people that they are overinvested and they don't really understand exactly how the dynamics of the market as a whole works, because it's not about one or two or three voices that are talking about some other project. Again, when the market's doing well, everything's going to succeed together, right? So, it is what it is. But,
It's like
yeah.
it's like the kids not getting invited to a birthday party, right? Like they don't want to see, when they're not having fun, they don't want to see other people having fun. And it's not there's a loud minority of those people, in my personal opinion, but I think the vast majority of people do want to see everyone win. In like the grand scheme of things, I do think majority of people are at least somewhat diversified, right? Not only all in on one project. I think by this point in the market, especially through the bear, people have branched out a little bit more and are diversified. But yeah, I think the sour people are really just like those kids that weren't invited to the birthday party. And if I'm not gonna have fun, I don't want anyone else having fun.
They're just the kid who takes the ball home from the playground because he has to go home.
There's so little limited liquidity in this ecosystem. I think people are just naturally like, yo, fuck you. If you're taking away liquidity from this project, I have my whole bag in. And it's so fucking stupid. There's not a lot of new people coming in this space, true. But recent indicators in the overall market, like Bitcoin getting to 21K, et cetera, I think we'll start seeing a lot more capital start pouring back into this space. Not a lot, but we'll start seeing some new liquidity into this space. And what Kaleo was saying earlier, how most people in this space are probably way over invested, is probably very true. Think about how many NFT people just became Web3 investors for the first time because they came in through NFTs. It's a very different market than traditional markets, the Web3 market, as you guys know. But really, at the end of the day, people are always going to be pissed. Now, the greater issue is, okay, if I'm your normal degen Web3 NFT holder and I've got a very tight consolidated bag with all my investments in Web3 and I'm pissed about seeing all these other projects, what am I going to perceive as being a high return of value? Well, I'm going to go with market trends. If you look at market trends, projects that tend to do best in the NFT space are like 10K PFP collections, right? And you look at collection like Wonky Stonks, it is not a PFP collection. But stonks are very much a part of Web3. They're a part of Web3 culture, and the larger audience base in the Web3 space are crypto traders, not NFT holders. So I think we'll see a lot more people over time that realize, hey, 10K PFP collections are not a guaranteed indicator of value. People have come to realize that over time. But now we're starting to move towards hey, you look at NFT collections like Uniswap's V3 liquidity position, those do very well because that has real utility and real value. But anything aside from anything that isn't classified as utility, if it's not a PFP collection, apparently it's not allowed to have a community. And it's this weird mental thing that we've created in this space, which is I just don't understand. I understand it from a position of, oh, yeah, 90+% of people who hold bags and NFTs are just trying to make a profit. So they're looking for indicators of a return on investment. But there are always those outlier projects too, like feetpics, what the fuck, which I saw Kaleo chart recently, etc., that, the memes overcome the PFP status.
What's funny too is you see like the people who whine the loudest, right? If you go to their wallet, they have hundreds of illiquid shit pegs, that they can't dump if they wanted to. And, in the time too, their strategy was, to buy and dump. They're just the ones that got caught with or in the liquidity, right? Their initial plan was, to invest in these shit pegs and, try and dump on someone else for a profit. And then when it doesn't work out for them, they just start yelling and whining, crying, and, all the typical um, jargon you see on Twitter and Discord.
100%. I also see like those wallets, and I wonder to myself, like, where are people getting these calls to buy this literal dog shit? I mean, there's some stuff out there, and I'm like, who told anybody to buy this, and why did you even like think that this was going to do anything?
I'm just kidding.
I mean, like I'm not talking about feed pics. I'm talking about like literal zero things, like things that are one wallet owns more than 50%, or like just random rugs, and it's just like, what the hell?
The 5x derivatives.
Yeah.
I think too many people double down in a negative way too. A lot of people who are coming into the NFT space for the first time don't really realize how small of a space it really is, how limited the liquidity actually is. So you see people like Logan Paul who are like, hey, I'm a fucking influencer. Whatever I say, my bags will carry with me. I've yet to really get burned too badly. But, $500,000 or whatever the fuck it was into one shitty NFT PFP, the only one force, right? Which you'll see people, even normal people, keep piling their money into their bags into the same project over and over again because they already have so much capital invested, when I'm just like, bro, you got to learn where to cut your fucking losses in life, right? There's some 10K NFT collections that are just never going to return, right? There are these collections that historically have been heading towards zero, and you still people see individuals like maxis of those communities accumulating bags. But, they're just people who work normal jobs for the most part. I feel fucking terrible for them because they've got so much faith in this one little fucking niche project, in this one little niche community, that I'm just like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? And then you see it on larger scales with like people who will come in with huge bags and don't work normie jobs, who their buddy says NFTs are going to the moon, and they're like, bet, just point at whatever one you want me to buy and I'll throw a bag there. It's really fucking weird. It's a weird space. Liquidity is extremely limited, but you get to see like very primitive examples of like macro and microeconomics in the NFT space in your fucking face every day.
Yeah, and that's my point, though, that I'm getting, or, my long rant that I had is kind of a foundation for this conversation. At the beginning of this was, we have not seen an increase of unique buyers yet. We have seen an increase in volume across the marketplace. Confidence is slowly returning, and some of the floor prices of, some of these projects are creeping higher, but there are still a lot of projects that are creeping lower. So what you're seeing is a rotation to quality as a whole. It's frustrating for some people when they see a random ass project that probably deserves zero, like FeetPix, that does well because they feel like in this low liquidity environment that everything needs to go to quality. And I disagree in a sense that I think memes succeeding every here and there are actually healthy for the space. But going back to it all, it doesn't matter at the end of the day because we are all rotating among the same people that have been here, because they're the still same 40,000 unique buyers that are like, I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I actually think in 2023, we are going to see a new all-time high as far as unique buyers, across the NFT marketplace. I think that it's going to happen. Like I'm looking at everything right now. It sounds bold, but when you're talking about a monthly basis, that the total monthly volume for the highest month ever for all of NFTs was only $5 billion. I don't care if it's a bear market or not, when you're looking at what happens across the crypto space as a whole, $5 billion of volume in a month is nothing, right? Like, there was one month, and I know this was on perps, so, not the same as doing it on spot, but like there was one month in 2021 where I did $4 billion of volume on perps, like, by myself.
Kaleo, I think a huge factor here too is also on-chain versus off-chain liquidity, right? Because when you look at on-chain traffic in the Ethereum ecosystem, you'll see that OpenSea alone makes up for like 6% of all traffic. The number one application that makes up for the majority of traffic in the Ethereum ecosystem is Uniswap V2 and V3. Each independently make up more traffic than any other application on the blockchain, but combined they make up roughly 16%. OpenSea is roughly 6, and then the next like two large players after that are also NFT marketplaces. I think it's X2Y2 and Looks Rare. So obviously, when you factor in all these things that are on chain, you can't have washing so easily. Obviously, there are gas fees associated with every trade, so things aren't negligible, right? So we see a lot less liquidity and volume to begin with, but we still see like roughly. I think it's about 8% total of all traffic on Ethereum mainnet comes from NFT marketplaces.
And my point being that that's incredibly small still. I really think that there's enough potential in this ecosystem that even in the midst of a bear market, that the potential for there being, if the right conditions hit, right now the most unique buyers that we've seen in a month, it topped out in January, let's see, January 20th, 2022, topped out that day at 123,000 unique buyers. I don't think it's crazy to say that if we start to see some of these creeps higher continue, right? Whether it's in names that, like, and I'm talking about just like, that's why I don't think ridiculous shit like the feet picks really hurt the ecosystem as much as a lot of people give it credit for, because when you have ridiculous shit, whether it's good or bad, whatever you think it is as far as the quality, whenever something ridiculous does well, it brings enough PR that does bring new people into the space, because they're like, man, if that's succeeding, what else can't? And what do all those people do? Even if they come in initially for the gamble to look for whatever the next thing are, what they see is they see somebody else on their timeline that has a Wonky Stonk or that has a Pudgy Penguin and that has these quality assets that aren't just bleeding back to zero, like a lot of the shit that they're trying to rotate to. And they're like, oh man, okay, yeah, this is what I actually need to stack and accumulate. And again, it doesn't take very many unique buyers entering into many of these projects to see a real lift as far as any momentum to be able to drive, any type of floor or whatever else higher. So I think it's just a matter of patience of saying, okay, we are still trading, basically all trading the same cards with each other. Eventually there are going to be more people that come in here. Like, it's the truth of the matter. It's going to happen, because even right now with Bitcoin and ETH climbing higher, right? There are people that will gain confidence coming back into the market that have sat on the sidelines that will be open to it, regardless of, whatever else is happening. I guarantee you it is a stimulus for the ecosystem, for the NFT marketplace as a whole. I really think it's going to act the opposite of a lot of these people that are saying that it's going to suck all liquidity out of everything because everybody wants to, like, that. That's just not the way that the NFT market works. So, Rooster.
Yeah, man, 110% agree with all that, right? And as fucked up as it is, right, we need, in the NFT community, we need memes like feet pics to actually do numbers, like you said, to get that PR. It's like the Doge effect, right? Back when Doge came out, it was all, everyone was tech maxis, right? They're like, oh, this tech, it has to be the best tech. And then everyone started shitting on Doge when Doge came out, like, oh, this is completely useless. It's, inflationary, like blah, 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 blah. But what onboarded the most masses? Doge, and, crypto's reaching new all-time highs, right? Because as fucked up as it is, everyone gets that itch. The normies get that itch in them when they see, someone else just like printing money, essentially. Then they're like, oh, ooh, I want to print money too. How am I going to do that? Let me, meander over into this space. As fucked up as it is, you want things like feet picks to move. Yeah, you may be not on the boat when it happens, but don't hate on other people that, are part of the movement and are
Rooster,
having fun.
look at what Bonk did for the Solana community. I mean, Solana was
True.
literally like an all-time low in the shitter. And then for the first time, you saw people even in the Ethereum ecosystem like, oh, I knew this was going to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then, boom, Bonk appears. And now all of a sudden, these people who have never even used Solana before are suddenly interested because they see, holy shit, these people are making like 3Xs every day, right? Memes carry a shit ton of value. But I think a whole nother thing that we aren't really talking about in an audience that is rapidly growing in the Web3 space is the audience in, like, I'm going to call them third world countries. May or may not be an offensive term, but you get the point, right? Countries with developing markets, countries with a lot of corruption and inflation. The real issue with these audiences, though, they're only really trading crypto because they need it in replacement of their local financial infrastructure. They haven't really had any exposure at all to NFTs. They're not out here trolling on Twitter like the rest of us are. But I think it's a whole market that has yet to be capitalized on. You don't really see any NFT collections on any main chains like Ethereum mainnet that are anywhere near affordable. And then you add the complexity of NFTs, which obviously increases the gas cost associated. And it doesn't really make sense. So I think we might see like a huge push to introducing new users to the NFT marketplace when we see a lot of traction and improvement in scaling solutions, like when Polygon ZK solution comes out. I think we're going to see a lot of really cool new NFT collections based on that are a lot more affordable and bring a lot more users in from all over the world rather than just, your North American liquidity, which probably makes up, 80+% of all NFT liquidity.
Yeah, not gonna lie, Europeans do be letting us down on the market from when the Americans go to bed to when we wake up. We need some more European liquidity as well.
Yeah, sorry about that. I have some family over that was crashing in the room downstairs. And dude, it's basically just my brother and his wife. Like I've got an extra room and they live a little bit outside of town. So anytime they come in town, they just basically this is their weekend place. So they wash like it's literally basically only them that use that room. And they wash the sheets every single time after like using it only once. And then I have to like go back and remake the bed and all that. I'm like, dude, why do you wash this? Like nobody else is coming here. So I was trying to convince him not to, and I was unsuccessful. So anyway, like it was already done. I went down there too late.
Well, were you like, oh, bro, but the weather, it's going to be a really nasty weekend. I don't know if you should pull through.
Bro, I don't know, no, not like that. It was just like, why don't you just make the bed instead of washing this and like having me make it later? Because literally only y'all are sleeping here. You've been in it one time, once. Anyway.
Yeah, I have the same thing happen with my sister-in-law. She comes over for like a weekend, or, a night over the weekend, and then it's like, all right, I'm gonna do it, and then the sheets are washed, and you have to do all this work to get it back. I'm like, you're the only one. Just keep it.
That's
So,
exactly.
Kaleo, let me ask you, as trying to stay unbiased here, right? Being agnostic to profits. What is your exit number on feet picks? Are you going
Bro, that's
100%
why
out on
no,
Wonky Stonks, or are you
bro,
letting
that's why I
some
pinned
ride?
it. Like, no, you know what? Here's my deal. I will sell the majority of what I have right around that peg because, like, I'll keep a few just for the memes, right? But yeah, like I'll sell the majority of that. Like, but again, my thing right now that I'm telling everybody, why the hell would you buy this right now? I like it was fun. It was all fun and games back beneath the point one area. Like I was all for talking about it, tweeting the chart and everything there. Um, um, but yeah, so I was all for everything there. Sorry, man. I'm still getting. I realized I said that whole story and they were right outside the door. Anyway,
Well, you
Yeah,
didn't
I
say
was
anything
just
bad.
Yeah, it wasn't anything bad. It was just like, I mean, it's
no.
honest. Like,
Anyway,
no need to wash your sheets.
yeah, no. Anyway, though, so I, I'll keep a few for the memes, but dude, yeah, I'll dump most of them if they get anywhere close to that. You guarantee I'll rotate back. Like
So,
there's I'll
at what
defend that.
price point are the art aficionados? You know, because like the same thing happened with goblins, right? And they're like, well, actually, this color palette hasn't been used, and like, the art is actually very, when do the art aficionados come in to the feet pics and then start writing blurbs about, how it's like actually a movement? Like, I mean,
Bro,
you see that
here's the
Rich
deal.
Beeple yesterday, right? They tweeted,
I thought
their
that
feet pic
was
derivative.
I thought that was funny, right? Like, it does show there's some power as far as the mainstream of what they've done. But, it all goes back to this. Like, it was funny to tweet it out. I think I kind of proved my point a little bit with like, if you're going to tweet out a project or, share a project and you're going to do whatever, you freaking hold that bitch a little bit. And, it could do a lot more than like just paper handing for, zero point zero 0.01 on something. I don't know what people are doing for 10 or $15 a pop, but anyway, so like I think the point has been made. It's been successful enough that the point's been made, and I'm okay like with exiting anywhere here. But like I'll hold on. But it's just a matter of again, why would anybody buy? Like obviously, I think right now people are going to continue to, but why would people continue to? It just blows my mind. Like you've got things like Stonks right now that I think are an incredibly solid buy where they are, and I like the Stonks again are something that I'm incredibly confident for where they're headed, what they have planned, everything like what we have planned, what's going on with that, but like again, no matter how high the meme of the feet picks goes, it'll end up like the goblins where it eventually rotates back out. And it might do another 10x from here, but then it'll be another 6+ months of just continued decline and continued decline. And, so the majority of people that end up entering into something like that are going to get hurt. So who knows whether it's already there or not? Like, just why gravitate towards something like that when there's I mean, heck, even things like Chubbyverse friends, right? I think Chubbyverse is another one where you've seen people take some profits. Like I know that the Chubbyverse team is working on some cool shit. If you're talking about like the GIF ability, they've got I think like half as many views on their GIFs as the Pudgy Penguins. And right now, like they're on an absolute fire sale down in that 0.16, 0.17 area. What at 0.16, 0.17, would I rather buy a Feet Picks or a Chubbyverse Friends? Like I would rather buy a Chubbyverse Friends, right?
So,
So
the thing that could save them is if I don't know, they were to make some type of app where you take your feet and then you walk with them and then you get paid in feet. Yeah.
So like merge with Steppen is what you're
oh
saying?
my god,
Yeah. No,
dude,
that's the joke because I lost a bag on
Step in X OnlyFans.
Well,
So
Rooster, do you remember when we would just show up to the spaces back in May or June and I'd be like, all right, like, what is the price of stepping today? Is it zero yet? No. Okay, like, did our daily step in check in? And I said that these are 100% heading to zero. They're a huge Ponzi. It's going to happen no matter what. We check in, we'd be like, is it zero yet? Nope. Okay, well, the next time. And eventually, sure enough, zero.
I blame you for fighting our bags to zero because it was all up until the first time Kaleo says, well, actually, Steppen's going to zero, and fuck.
I gotta head out, boys. Thanks for
sorry.
having me up here. Have a good one. Kaleo, have fun with your
Later,
brother.
Crypto Genius.
Peace.
I gotta go in a second, but the Pudgy Igloo meeting's about to start. But I was gonna say I may have been defending support on the feed picks, and I may or may not have 130 feed picks.
Dude, you're
So
ridiculous.
So I'm teaching everyone. This is a charting exercise, boys. This is a master class in charting. Like keep coping. The cope. I don't even taste the tears yet. I need to taste your tears. We're just getting there. Like so until I see
Yo,
people
Croc.
actually crying and breaking down on the timeline, I'm still buying.
That's
As you should. Croc, really quick question for the tweet you pinned up there. What website is that or tool to chart NFTs?
he stepped down, but it's Parsec. Parsec's good. I'm gonna try out Flip soon because Ledger said they've got some decent stuff for Flip. I just haven't taken the time to try it out, so I'm gonna try it out this week. But I heard Flip has some decent tools. Nansen, obviously, Nansen was always like what I saw previously. Dude, Nansen is just like, why would anybody pay that, right? Like, that's insane. Um,
But Nansen doesn't give you like candlesticks like that, right? It's
no,
more so you just get a data and
yeah.
yeah.
Nansen doesn't have as advanced on the charting side, but I'll admit, like, bro, even Parsec's like incredibly rudimentary as far as their tools. I mean, but it does give you something, right? And something is better than nothing. So I think there's still a huge opportunity for anybody out there, bro. You have no idea how many times I've told TradingView that their signups would go through the roof if they actually took the time to really build out. And same with TrendSpider. I've told both of them, which, they've really focused on their stock side of things and their crypto. They built out also. But what I keep telling them is if they really want a huge market share of new participants, build out a robust NFT charting feature within it, and you will have a huge number of people that end up coming over to it. So,
I do want to shoot it over to Neb here. He's had his hand up for like a good 15, 20 minutes, I think, now.
let's do it.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, Kaleo, one of my favorite things about using Flip is actually the way that you can sort by traits. I love how easy it is and how good the breakdown is because basically you click or you can look at every trait and it shows you the NFT with that trait on the floor, and then it shows you the next couple. So you can just click and look at you can look at the next few with that trait and see how thin individual floor traits are. So one of my absolute favorite things about Flip, and that's what makes me use it the most. I actually have a question about So Rare. If you guys have a second to sidestep, I missed that space earlier this week because I was working.
Yeah, what's up, man?
So I've loved this game. Oh my goodness, it's been so much fun as like a huge basketball enjoyer. But is there any like alpha, I guess, on any rookie cards versus regular cards? Just because that's typically one of those things that with the traditional card market makes something more desirable.
Well, in my opinion, obviously, right now it's So Rare NBA. It's their first season, right? And like again, like you said, I actually really enjoy playing the game. That's the only reason why I partnered with them because I'm like this is actually really cool. And they've got whether you want to do a free version or whether you want to collect the cards and actually do something with that. Like they've got multiple options with all that. But the from what I understand, the player cards you can carry over the next season. So if you look at it from a perspective of, man, this is the first season they have out, whether they're a rookie or whatever else, like they're going to release new editions of these cards each year, right? So the old ones, this season's cards will be playable the next season. So I mean, theoretically, right? If it's the same player and it's a earlier season's card, there should be more value to the earlier season's card from the perspective of what you're talking about of the historical whatever. Obviously each player will have a certain value as far as just their minimum value for utility, but I think that you're going to start seeing multiple tiers and it all just depends on their success too, right? Like will they continue to build out, continue to gain momentum as far as marketplace share, etc. So, with anything with that, I don't think it's a guarantee, but I think that they've got a lot of cool things set up for it to where they could end up growing that out. But, with anything else, like a lot of those cards, especially a lot of the shitty role players, if I were to guess, a lot of those shitty role players, their cards will go to zero, in a year or two whenever they're forgotten about and, their utility just isn't really worthwhile anymore. So I think that's a big part of it, like understanding kind of that dynamic of how that'll work going down the road.
And that's the whole thing. Like I've got a couple of rookies that I'm like really really big on. Like I got a Shaden Sharp card as a reward, which I'm super pumped about. But like the biggest thing is like what you said, the game is enjoyable. And that has been like the the thing that's kept me coming back is how fun it is to see how these guys play night in and night out, and also see how these individual lineups that I put together that are, in my opinion, like way more fun than talking about crazy trades and everything. But to your point about like role players, it also kind of ties back in with the conversation about how sometimes things just go to zero. The beautiful thing about role players is like right now I have Kendrick Nunn that I can plug in, and usually I can fit him as my fifth guy, and I can have a higher guys with higher scores or higher costs to put on a team, and I can just fit Kendrick Nunn in, and when he plays, he gets buckets, and like he had a night where he got me like 25 points recently. Um, but he fit in and lowered the cost enough for me to set another solid lineup. So, but if things end up going to zero, like it's part of life. Uh, it's just part of life.
Yeah, man. So I think that's what it goes back to. But I really enjoy. Man, I gotta have you hop on one of these spaces where I'm actually, partnered with with them. I only do a couple spaces a month officially partnered with So
Please,
Rare.
it would be
Um,
fun to like
yeah, bro.
do a space while a game is going, and we can watch a game together. Just because like I have a 9 to 5 as a wage cook. I'm sorry, man. I'd love to join. It'd be so much fun.
Nah, man. I'll look into setting something up for it. Scott, you've had your hand up for a while. Don't think I've had you up on one of my spaces before. Welcome up to the stage, sir. You got in your description Dev, Bear, Uni, Frog, Zunk Web 3 Grinder. What is going on?
What is up, man? Yeah, I heard about you pumping feet pics and I I loved it. So well, not pumping it, but I saw the tweets about it, and then I added you, and now I've been checking you out. But I like what you had to say about a lot of things. I mean, I will say, actually I came up to talk about the Polygon thing, which was literally like 20 minutes ago, so I'm not going to bring that up. But it was funny. The guy Croc or whatever, he said he had 130. He the Pudgy Penguins are like the biggest holders of feed picks, which I thought was funny. I just looked it up.
But
There's a reason.
So that was funny. They own like 600 of them mutually. But on the So Rare topic. So actually, my background in NFTs, maybe like a lot of people, was NBA Top Shot, and I was in that flow ecosystem. I built moment ranks and own the moment, which are still used on that system. And I'm very critical of Dapper. So I I haven't done anything with So Rare, but I see a massive potential on that platform, on that utility side, because that's always been missing on the Dapper side, and a lot of people wanted that. And I actually think a lot of the failure of Dapper wasn't just from saturation of supply, but also because of the lack of utility. So I'm interested on So Rare for that reason.
No, man, it is actually fun. I do enjoy playing it. It's I think got a lot more. It's a lot easier, I think, to be able to connect with that for the average person than it is Top Shot, because those moments. I mean, I don't know. At a certain point, they really do feel oversaturated without any true utility. So it's different, but I think it's got a better chance of actually sticking a little bit more. Charles, what is up, my man?
Yo, I just want to do a quick little, it's not like a self plug, but the company I work for, I pinned this tweet up there. We had like a little internal hackathon this week, and one of the engineers put together a cool tool. It basically allows you to select two collections and kind of like chart them against each other, just get stats. So that tweet I pinned up there, you can see Wonky Stonks and Little Pudgies, how many overlapping holders there are. You can kind of see the sales over the last month or so, and how they're trending against each other. there's other pieces to this. That's just like one screenshot, but I guess I'm curious, what would you guys want in a tool like this? Like, in terms of feedback to bring back to my team, what would be cool to see?
I like it, man. I mean, it is cool. It's interesting to see. It's interesting to see the actual numbers behind that. And I think a lot of that goes back to, for instance, if you brought up, I forget which one of you, I think it was Scott that just said there were X number of Pudgy Penguin holders that held feet picks, right? And feet picks ended up doing well with that. And you're like, oh, well, maybe that's a metrics that I want to look out for some of these other new small mints. Like, what are they, what are the holders comprised of? And are they part of a trending ecosystem? So I think that in and of itself is pretty cool. I don't know, man. I'm trying to think of what else I'd really want to see with it. I like being able to compare side by side like that, though, from the total sales and everything else. Just makes it a little bit easier visually to understand the trend between two different collections. But I can't think of anything right now off the top of my head that I would add or take away.
You know what's wild that I just thought of with that? Like, you could essentially almost infiltrate, project specific alpha groups, right? Like Proof Collective. You just, see if there's any massive influx on something that, like the Proof Collective guys are buying. And
Totally.
then
Yeah, that's a good
you
point.
just essentially infiltrate their alpha group. I don't know, weird thought.
No, I like that. That's an interesting idea. You could just see like, okay, everyone that's got a Moonbird or the Proof Pass, like, what did all these holders just recently buy? Like, oh, there's a big uptick. They bought a bunch of Campai Pandas or something. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. Let's see. Karate, what's going on?
Nothing much, man. I was just going to say it would be fun and completely degenerate if you could do one of those like market cap comparable things too. And all of a sudden you can see like, Wonky Stonk Floor if they have the same cap as Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Oh yeah, adding in the overall market cap. I don't know how you would do that. Maybe being able to chart over something like that, actual trend lines of floor price and market cap could be cool, but I know that starts to get a little bit messy on the chart itself.
Yeah, it would get messy. It would be very hard to do, but it would just be a fun, degenerate thing if there was a possibility to do it. I know everyone loves to do that on the coins. It's like this random shit coin. What is it compared to Bitcoin market cap? And you're like, oh, nice. I'm going to be a trillionaire, in a year.
I mean, don't you just like divide the or multiply the floor price and collection size to get the market cap?
I mean, yes, but Brewster, the thing is, I feel like nobody, when it comes to NFTs right now, really talks about market cap. As crazy as that sounds, you hear about floor price of an individual NFT, but you don't hear anything about the actual market cap of each project.
So it's funny you actually mentioned that because I think that's going to start being talked about more within the next few months, kind of like, charting the NFTs, where the biggest speaker of market cap that I've heard like on Spaces when it comes to NFT projects is probably Crypto ISO. And he's always comparing like, the pandas market cap to like those of shitcoins. Not typically other NFT market caps, but he, goes back to the CT side and compares them to like coins.
I love that, man. And, like, dude, again, when you look at the stonks, that's another reason why I'm saying, like, the title of the space is Wonky Stonks Are Inevitable. But, bro, it's so true when you think about it just from a pure market cap perspective about, hey, 0.3 ETH or 0.25, whatever the heck it is, it's a $4 million market cap. And when you look at some of the shit coins that have really taken off as far as just, the coin / token themselves and the hype of the mania of some of these different movements that we've seen recently, $4 million is nothing, right? Like, I don't think it's crazy to think that some of these projects that have that type of market cap could see $50 to $100 million as far as a market cap is concerned. So I don't know, man. It all goes back to just, do you actually have confidence in the NFT space as a whole continuing to grow? Because if you think it's going to remain flat, then hey, your argument that $4 million is already a good amount may be fair. But if you think that there is potential for this space to continue to grow, and if you think there's space for, those total unique buyers, the liquidity, the total volume, everything else to continue to increase, then it's tiny. And I don't know how you can be involved in this space for longer than a couple days and actually have some stuff invested in this space and not have any confidence that things are going to continue to take up and trend higher and eventually hit another catalyst for major market growth and momentum.
Yeah, like imagine too if you were to drop a shitcoin, right? Just instead of an NFT project, right? You'd probably be sitting at currently like a 20-25 million market cap, and just doing that comparisons with the NFT project, like yeah, the stonks are inevitable eventually. I mean, there is multiple room for over 100x even from here. So yeah, I'm here to ride the wave.
And then you also look at the supply side of decent projects is also so little. It's exactly kind of what we're talking about, and it's like as soon as we get that new uptick in market participation, like this stuff's just gonna rip. I mean, yeah, right now it's very PvP, but like soon, as people start trickling back in from ETH ripping a little bit and all that stuff, like there's no supply for any of these things at all.
Yeah, and even just for people on the CT side, like eventually it's going to get to the point where if you don't have a stonk on your profile somewhere, no one is going to take your charts seriously, any of your alpha seriously on CT. You're going to be stuck and unable to grow just because you don't have a stonk, and it's going to be a glory.
Golden, welcome up to the stage. How are you doing today?
GM Kaleo, I just tagged you in a stonk collab I just did. You might not recognize what it is, but it's a nice stonk. It's trending up, which I like, and it's a Barn Owls NFT. I think it's the second time we've put one of these out. Someone else did it too, but it's not the actual Barn Owls NFT on chain, but it was the first time someone put a ROG in another collection collaboration. Adam Z's put a fishing rod on my unicorn Barn Owls, and so that's a pretty big deal to me because that was pre-Sappy Seals Rogs collab and pre all the other fishing rods bandwagon hopping. So pretty big piece of blockchain history in my opinion. And I'm not sure how many people realize this, but the Barn Owls minted the same day. The contract was deployed the same day as the Pudgy Penguins.
That's crazy, man. Well, I'd love to see it. I'm not sure who did the mashup. Maybe Yakimet or Cube are the ones that are the mashup kings, but I love to see them. It's, the stonks go great with just about anything. Maybe they wouldn't be a good background for more, for digital art stacked on top of it. I think art on top of art's a little bit of a different mix up, but you can DJ the PFPs with the stonks incredibly well.
I'm going to continue making these. I'm going to work my way up to the full cube and have the full cube with the Barn Owls on every panel.
Let's go, man. Love to hear it.
If ETH moves 0.5% up from here, the floor will be $420 on the stonks. We're at 418 right now, so
free.
Yeah, pretty much free at the moment, and until we're at 69 420 per stonk, like it's free.
You're 69.42 ETH, right?
No, I was thinking $69,420. per stonk.
Okay. I mean, that
Which
works too.
actually that's kind of undercutting. So yeah, 69 ETH actually. You're right.
But at that point, it would still basically be free, even at that price.
Yeah, it's still free.
Yeah.
No way around it. Yeah, bro. I mean, but hey, it's still like, I think Bog brought up a good point earlier where it is funny to just see some of the sentiment across the timeline when you do have projects where he's obviously seen it with the Pudgy Penguins, right? I really haven't seen too much of this sentiment yet, but I guess it's because I'm not in a lot of, maybe a lot of the same chats that might be sharing that sentiment. Um, but looking at it, bro, like, yeah, you're gonna have periods of capitulation for some of these, but like I'm looking at like, the Pudgies as far as where they are right now, bro. If you look at it from a simple charting perspective, they're literally just retesting the breakout. There's zero way that I see them not bouncing back with this. Like even on the USD perspective, right? If you're looking at Pudgy ETH time or Pudgy ETH times ETH USD. What's that, bro? Nick?
I'm getting rugged.
I think you're getting rugged, man. Try back here in just a second. Okay, yeah, bro, I'm looking at it like Pudgies are still freaking $8,100 per Pudgy. They're just consolidating right now. Actually, what it looks really similar to is back in July of 22, whenever they first started breaking out, they ended up consolidating in that, $2,500 to, $4,500 range. And they did it for, from like the 14th of July all the way up to about the 9th of August, nearly an entire month before they started breaking out above that to like the 6,300, 6,500 level. So I'm looking at it again with the Pudgies right now. They made the last major leg up at the end of December, right? December 27th. So they're probably due, if it's the other timeline, sometime in the next week or two for that next leg up above here. But people are just they get addicted to instant gratification. They get addicted to instant returns that any little shakeout, like it doesn't matter what they've seen trending the past, since July of last year. They start to get scared of whatever, and they don't trust the overall trend of the market, and they shake themselves out, right? They really psych themselves out. And I again think it's just incredibly early for the NFT marketplace as long as the Pudgies are underneath 12K USD. So I think there's a lot of growth there. And if you see a dip in a major collection that has strength like that, that's shown strength, then, like it's not a bad time to average your way in if you can. Neb, what is going on, sir?
When you say that that 12K resistance for Pudgies is very important, what do you think flipping that does to the little Pudgies floor at? And this is me just asking a question and not speaking as someone who is chasing that instant gratification.
Nev, I think the little Pudgies are just the higher player on Big Pud or higher beta play on Big Pudgies. And same with Rogs, where whatever growth that you see with Big Pudgies is going to be a similar type of growth that you're going to see with the little Pudgies. But I think that it just happens on a more, on a quicker scale. So if little Pudgy or if Big Pudgies start rising by X%, the little Pudgies raise a little bit faster. And same thing if everything declines, just works the same in the opposite spectrum. So yeah, man, if Big Pudgies are just ripping, I guarantee you little Pudgies end up relatively ripping even faster because there's a lot more opportunity there as far as people get priced out of the bigs, so they flock to whatever the cheaper collection is. But again, whenever the market does top, you end up seeing the retrace from the top of whatever the littles are a lot quicker than what you would see in something like the bigs. It just happens. So yeah, again, if you're confident in the mainstay of the ecosystem, the bigs, obviously the littles aren't going to go anywhere. They're not going to just get completely left behind.
You wanna know what the funniest thing that I've seen today was? Um, I saw a post this morning of like someone advertising their alpha group, and they were like, Utes called at, 150 soul at so and so soul price, and they're like sold Utes 140 soul at so and so price, profit $500. Like they took a 10 soul loss on the NFT itself, but are claiming yeah, advertising their alpha group because Soul just ripped so hard during that time that they were profitable in USD, and that just cracked me up this morning.
Yeah, bro, I saw that, but are you sure that's not a troll? It's just too perfect. Like,
Like,
there's no way. I guess I can see there are some idiots out there that would post something like that, but it
there
just
are a
seems.
lot. Like, to be honest, really, like, there are a lot. Your feed's probably, a little more like a little cleaner than my feed as well. So I may just be like, what's the word for it? Damn, I'm blanking right now. Oh, exposed. Yeah, there it is. I just may be exposed to a lot more of it than you, but like there are definitely, I don't know, definitely could be a meme, but at the same time, like I could definitely see someone trying to do that. But either way, it still like cracked me up this morning.
Bro, I know I did see that and I was laughing. Like, it's the funniest thing because they're, people that are NFT traders don't care about the USD value as much as they do about the denomination of the actual token itself, right? You care about stacking ETH, you care about stacking Sol. You don't care about stacking USD. I mean, like at the end of the day, obviously, when you're cashing out, that's what matters. But I'm just saying, as a whole, the people that are trading NFTs, they don't flex by saying, "Hey, I made 10 grand on this because the ETH value of it went up." Or not, no, I mean, because the USD value went up. They end up saying, "Hey, I made 10 ETH on this," right? Like, doesn't matter if ETH cratered in the process. Like, they're going to flex those ETH gains. So, it's just the nature of the beast, man. And I think it's going to be like that. Realistically, it's going to be like that until one of two things happens. Until, number one is the underlying, say that, there's more spot volume that starts to happen as far as the, some of these dexes are concerned. They start using USDC, USDT a little bit more, or perps start to get introduced, right? And as perps start to get introduced, it's like alts never really were talked about in terms of USD until FTX came around. FTX was the one that mainstreamed that. You can say the Binance did what, like, it was FTX that mainstreamed alts being talked about in terms of USD. They were not talked about in terms of USD until that. It was always BTC, and if you talked about alts in terms of USD resistance, you were laughed at, right? Like you were called a noob for the market, that you had no idea what was going on, and you were just laughed off the table. So, it's the same thing kind of right now with people talking about any NFT projects in terms of USD. Everybody says, well, why would they react based on USD? Nobody looks at that. I still think it's an underlying psychological, support and resistance level. But like, it's going to be a lot more mainstreamed the more liquid that the USD pairs get. And I think derivatives end up, the perps really end up driving that movement whenever that happens.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I only factor in USD when I'm like, loading a little bit of dry powder, right? Otherwise, I just strictly, yeah, pretty much thinking ETH and stacking ETH as well, yeah. But the ultimate feeling of pleasure when you're trading NFTs is when your project is pumping and the underlying asset is pumping, like ETH or Sol. That is like, it's a great feeling.
So that's why you're so hyped about your 4 feet picks running right now.
No, I got three. Actually, what's crazy is uh I degened even a little bit more yesterday. And bought a fat
Oh
nut.
yeah, no, I looked in the
I
chat
sent
for
you
like
one of
5 seconds
them.
yesterday. I was kind of out, like, MIA yesterday as far as the action on Twitter. And I log in for like 5 minutes and I look through two of my different like DM chats, and both of them were talking about fat nuts, bro. Like, what? No.
Yeah,
Like,
it's already done. It's already done. I made like 0.65 Ethereum,
oh, you actually
and
made something off that.
oh yeah.
So you dumped
I,
on everybody that you talked about it to then.
no, I told everybody my clear process through the whole way. Exactly every move that I was making. I told everybody. Um, but yeah, no, I got in, got it. What helped was I minted like a super rare. So that helped a little bit. So I only would have been in the profits like point 0.4. But no, yeah, the busted the nut, got out. I mean, the play was clear. They were doing some type of snapshot thing after like 24 hours after minting. So, I mean, yeah, it was like easy call. It's going to zero after snapshot. Get out if you can into the volume, because it was like top lead in like 1,700 sales on OpenSea. So it's just a momentum play.
I'm embarrassed to say I think I bought the Pico top on those fat nuts.
Oh, bro, it's just why? Like I said, right now, okay, the feed picks have been lucky,
Why? Because
but
it just bought me a stonk last night. That's why.
okay, I love to hear it. I love to hear it. For every one of you, there are 50 other people that have not, that ended up losing a stunk because of that. But then again, I'm not going to hate on it too much. Going back to the Bogfather principle, it's one of those things where right now, people are just like, as the market's kind of relatively flat, people are just speculating on whatever shit. You're going to have one out of the 100 run, aka the ones that have feet right now. But like outside of that, there just isn't much happening. And even right now with the feet picks, bro, going back to what I said earlier, I mean, hey, I'm enjoying it. I think it's fun watching them go higher, but like I would never tell anybody to buy one of those right now. Like I wouldn't do it. Right? As unstoppable as some memes might be, it's like, why even risk it at this point when there are other quality projects that are sitting near that same level that have already dipped from whatever movement they had that are probably going to be more sustainable? It just doesn't make sense to me.
You're sounding like a liquidity guy right now. One of the sideline, even though you do hold your bag of beads. Like,
Hey, I've got, I mean, I'm saying this as I have my 19 feet picks. I had 20. I gave one away from the stonk thing. So I've got my 19 feet picks, right? I have not touched them. I'm fudding my own bags here. And, actually, I think that is one of the reasons why the project has done better than it could have done, because all their main account does is literally just log on and say, we're why aren't we at zero yet? We deserve zero. So all I'm doing is, echoing what they're saying. So me fudding it, if anything, should be bullish.
so are you gonna FUD it, like, if it does end up running further? Like, are you gonna be like, are you gonna be a vocal hater about it, even like while holding the
No,
bag?
no, no, no,
Or are you
no.
gonna
I
be like,
mean,
you see, like guys, like, understandably, like, it didn't make sense to buy, but at the same time, like, a little exposure was worth it for the meme.
okay, again, what I'm saying is this: all because I'm fudding it doesn't mean that I don't think that it could run way higher from here, right? Like, I think it definitely could, but I just, like, I don't know, man. To each their own. Just understand right now that, like, with something like that, no matter how great the memes may be, there's always the chance that at a certain point, after it tops out, whether it's here or after a 10 or 20x, right? Somewhere along the line, there's going to be a point where it tops out and it just trends to zero infinitely from there, right? It does not ever catch a bid again. So it's kind of like the bonk games, right? The people that were buying bonk all the way up, I kept saying, okay, this could easily pull off another 10x, and bro, it did. But like, over the course of those 2 weeks, everybody that was in it had a shit ton of fun. It did bring life back into the Sol ecosystem. And those profits did rotate to other quality things. I mean, whether Sol pumped off the base or a bunch of other Sol projects, so you saw a lot of that happening. Point being, hey, if the feed picks are the ones that do that, great, they might. But then you look at what ended up happening to Bonk after, and Bonk has been, down only ever since. So, same type of thing with this. Eventually it's going to reach that point. And I feel like, again, beneath point one, I was okay, even though it probably is a little bit more established now than it was before point one. I'm just beyond the point of, if anything else, personal, brand liability, where it's like, I don't feel conscionable to be able to say that anything up here for it would be a good buy. I'd rather just say stack solid shit that is stuck around and will continue to stick around.
Yeah, with my small size of 2600, I can be a little more
of 2600 what?
Followers, I think. Right?
Oh yeah. You can be a bit more DJing.
Yeah, I can be a little bit more agnostic. And here's my thing too: when you're buying into something like feet picks or fat nuts, right? Any meme like this, you should know and understand that it will be at zero one point in time. So do with that information what you will. You're entering this very, very high risk trade. You should have a clear cut strategy. I mean, the market out here is ruthless. And if you're the one that ends up being someone else's exit liquidity, you should have understood that, risk going into it. It's already a high risk trade as it is. Your plan going into it is to, eventually dump on someone else for profit. That's all. I mean, that's what everything is selling to someone else for profit. That's the entire stock market, the entire rest of the NFT space. Like, you should fully expect and understand that if you get caught, you're just was the unlucky rabbit this time.
Scott, you got your hand up. What's going on?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there's one thing we can say about feed picks is that we keep talking about it. So that's like bullish as hell, right?
I mean, yeah, there are power behind memes, right? Like, there's definitely power behind memes, whether you hate on it, whether you do anything else. So, who knows? It does feel like one of those that could continue to grind higher from here. And like, I'm not going to hate on the movement, right? Like, obviously, like I've shared about it, whatever else, like, I'm not going to hate on the movement. Yeah, I mean, hey, if anything, the higher it goes, the more clout that I get.
I mean, I did a giveaway at like 0.07 on my profile. I was happy about that. Whoever won that, probably really happy. Well, he probably dumped it immediately, but he could have been happy.
Love to hear it, man. Yeah, I mean, I gave one away the other day, and it was, back at the 0.15 area. Like, so it's, I mean, and I told that guy, I was like, I also gave away a Wonky Stonk to the winner, and I was like, you want to get first place if you want a long-term hold of generational wealth, aka the Wonky Stonk. You want to get second place if you want instant liquidity to be able to dump and do whatever you want. So yeah, man, like, it's the way that some of this shit goes. But the fact that we're even talking about any of this just shows you how fun is returning back to the market. When was the last time that we talked about something this ridiculous in NFTs? I'm having a hard time thinking about it.
I haven't had this much fun since last January, literally a week ago, when like kind of the derivative scene was popping off, and you were making like a bunch of X on, select derivatives. That was the last time, like, I remember like being up late and like, seeing like mass amounts of volume come in like this, and like, just deeching in with the crew and just laughing.
Nick, you've got your hand up. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? I don't know what was happening earlier. I was driving. Twitter's been rugging me all weekend. They perma-banned my account, so I'm working on getting that back. It's actually an alt. I wanted to go back to the market cap topic that we brought up. It's very touchy because you have ETH and USD, and then the way that you're calculating it is the floor price. I think it's very useful, though, in terms of finding an exit point, because we all know how hard that can be, especially on a good project.
Yeah, it is hard. And I still think the smartest thing to do is you wait until there are periods of higher volume, right? Like right now, where shit's kind of stagnant, you know, the slippage that you're going to take for exiting something whenever everything is quieter, like it is right now, is insane compared to just being patient for the market to start. You know, I get it. There's some people that just don't believe that the market's going to trend back up. They're so conditioned by the past 6 to 8 months of the bear market that they think down only, and they're like, man, you know, we've seen a little spike here. I'm done. Right? Like, as things are declining, they just think the market's done. Inherently, like, that is what they are, you know, conditioned to. And I don't think it's necessarily right. I think it's one of those things where, you know, you look at the charts, you look at the momentum, you look at a lot of the other outside factors. I really think we're just starting to pick up steam. So if you've got something that you need to sell and that you can wait for, or that you want to sell and that you can wait for, I really think that you're going to end up securing a lot more from that, just being a little bit patient and kind of listing into pumps. So basically, like, you know, you could list right now and then just be patient for the next few weeks, right? You know, like, will it take a few weeks for the market to move again? Who knows? You know, it may take a lot shorter, may take a little bit longer. But if you have a broader window of when you're willing to exit, I think 9 out of 10 times you're going to end up winning that trade with a higher success rate than just, you know, flooring whatever, accepting the WETH offer and just getting out right now, right? And you got to think about too, especially if you're, you know, flooring something for WETH, and you know, especially if it's a high conviction asset that you're flooring, to get back into that project, right? You know, you need to account for a couple different things. One, slippage as far as any type of fees, and you have to count that on both sides. So what you're selling and what you're buying, and you know, it just
Yeah, I think
it's
a
a lot
lot.
more difficult to make that flip through trending shit than what people give it credit for.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too, they don't realize they're not traders and that they're investors, and they'd have a lot better time. I mean, I don't blame people who are selling, but you're not going to get rich playing it cautious. And you've touched on this a lot, but the risk reward to being sidelined here versus the risk reward to going down a little bit more is just not worth it.
It's just, I mean, it's like basic fundamentals. If you're trying to trade something, you're trading into, you know, volume and momentum. And long-term assets, right? Like stonks, you shouldn't be looking to make those flips, right? I mean, unless if the volume is incredible and you know you can probably catch a pullback, like it's not worth it because you know any one time, right, can be that moment where it just doesn't turn back and all of a sudden you're priced out by trying to catch like $100, $200 profit. Like at that point, is it really worth it in your long-term conviction bets to, you know, try and like make those microtransactions like that? No, absolutely not. Like you flip when there is momentum and volume somewhere, and you rotate that into your high conviction plays and stack those. At least that's my trade strategy anyway.
It's been working pretty good. A little rooster season going on lately. I do want to play devil's advocate. Just have a question. Anyone can ask this or answer this. It seems pretty exciting right now. Everyone's getting a little bullish. My only concern is earnings season and that 101 Dixie support. Does anyone have a counter argument to that?
Bro, I mean, I don't I don't give a shit about it. Let me see. I'm looking at everything else. There's so many charts, and they're all intertwined. Everything else that I'm looking at says bullish, so that probably means Dixie's bearish. Give me a second, I'll take a look. Let's see. Dixie 101 support. you're talking about. I mean, need to look at it right, bro. No, freaking tank that shit. No, like that's definitely going to tank lower.
I'm all for it.
So, I mean, that looks weak as hell. Break it down. So
Hey,
yeah,
Bog, I seen you come up here. What's minting right now? Because gas is at like 50 to 75.
Dude,
A kid, a
I'm
kid
not
called
even,
Beast.
dude. Honestly, at this point, I think we have our thing. Like, if this, like, nothing else is. I mean, I'm not gonna say nothing else, but I, I don't know what else is gonna pump. Like, if you people like had the opportunity to release a collection this week, if they were sitting on one, so I don't know if people are being degens on stuff, but this is like sitting and waiting on our hands right now. So nothing really to
No, yeah,
There,
it
there
was
is a
just a
big,
joke.
there is a big mint right now.
really. Which one?
Yeah, a kid called Beast. I mean, they're at like
Oh, okay.
5,800, 360 ETH right now. So they're doing well.
That's what it was.
I heard they fumbled the bag, but it looks like they cleaned it up. So I don't know. It's good.
how'd they fumble the bag?
Apparently their site crashed and their Discord had some mess going on in the beginning, but it looks like they worked it out, I guess.
So
The
the
typical
classic
story. The
thing
typical,
that,
yeah,
yeah, happens in
typical,
95%.
typical story. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
no, it's
see how are
actually
some. So a kid called Beast. I mean, who's putting that one out there?
I don't know
let's
too much about the
see.
project. I know they have a big partnership and they have a game where they've showed gameplay, but we all know how that's gone too. Um, but it was one of the more hype mints for sure.
Okay, so they've got a game and they have gameplay. I'm bearish.
Wait, was this?
Gameplay, like it never lives up to every Web3 game is pure shit.
Is
Like it's
this
that
was this
simple.
wait?
If that's what you're depending on for your, for your whatever to go higher, I am bearish as hell.
Hold on, was this Elliot's thing?
Agreed. Not into the
Oh, if it's
game.
Elliot's thing, I feel kind of bad, but I mean, like the truth was spoken,
No, no, his was play
agnostic of
imposters.
knowing.
No, it's different. It's
We're in the
different.
we're in
Okay,
the
yeah.
It
Pong
was
slash Atari phase of Web3 gaming. It's straight trash, man. You can literally buy anything
The,
else, and like it'll probably be a better choice.
Nah,
uh,
bro, but apes are gonna
But
do it, bro. Apes are gonna be the
If I
ones
wanted to
getting
like
streamed.
listen to Marshmello and like hang out with like other grown men in their mom's basement, you know what I mean? I'd probably go on like Call
You're rugging a little bit,
of
Bog.
Duty.
Just FYI.
I just wanted
not
to
every
say,
game
as,
can be COD though. Pong
as,
is fun as hell to play if you've never played it.
as a founder of a on-chain game, I feel like I'm attacked right now by whoever said that. But it's okay.
I mean, I said it, and I apologize. I'm rooting for you, man. I'm rooting for you. Not to say that the grind, the evolution might not lead somewhere eventually, but just as a whole, I also can't all of a sudden change my take because I found out that there's a founder of something on like as a whole, I'm incredibly bearish on the average Web3 gaming ecosystem because every single one that I've ever seen sucks.
No, I actually agree with you. My what I will say is like as a dev, like what I put forward is like, have you seen anything with dynamic composable NFTs before in the system in the ecosystem?
Like the traits can basically change
Not just
slightly,
trade
but
not just trade swap. Like I think that's definitely played out, and most of it's off chain. I mean, my project I did it on chain, but like actually composing ERC 1155s onto an ERC 721, and it travels with the base token. Have you seen anything like that yet?
if I have, I'm clueless to it. So
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say that's basically what I had innovated on. It's not like, look, if I had a game studio backing me, okay, that's a different story. But my project's pretty small. But I think there is potential there. But I agree with you that right now the gaming system is actually shit. So I can't disagree with you on that one.
The problem right now too is that NFT, like you guys are saying, NFT games are just not there, and then gamers themselves hate NFTs.
See, but that's just because they're not aware. People the conversations that I have, like just explaining, okay, how many times has your kid asked you about buying a Fortnite skin? Like as soon as I talk to like a couple of parents like that, they generally become more open-minded. So I think the issue is partly a small amount of knowledge base as compared to experience. And then to that point, like the small amount of games that we've played have been crypto focused. Like DeFi
So
Kingdoms was not like an entertaining game. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna wrap up in just a second, but I feel like as the future of gaming and in crypto in gaming and NFTs in gaming evolves, as long as people focus on making a good game, the rest is going to follow. And my personal experience coming from the Fluff World community and like some of the games that those guys are building, like I'm ready for it to take off and kind of blow people's minds in an unexpected way, but as long as people put games first, that's the most important thing.
so here's my thing. There's and I I do enjoy video games. I don't play nearly as much, as I used to when I was younger. But at the same time, I still take my time to enjoy video games every now and then. My thing is though, is like, with your Fortnite skin argument, like Fortnite is just not gonna do that. Why would they like release um, a small, collection of
You're
skins, and then
you're a
when they
hundred
can just
percent correct.
dump on, the entire market with an unlimited amount, right? Rather than just accruing royalties. So like that, it's not they just be shooting themselves in the foot. So like that, then you got to ask like, as why would someone go on the blockchain to, play a blockchain based game? Right? And it's probably mostly going to be centered around money. And so at that point, you essentially just have like a skill based, mini gambling website, which I think is going to be probably the first use case.
See, but that's the thing. It can't be focused on money in the sense that it needs to be a side effect. And to your point of Fortnite not doing that, yeah, that's why an alternative to Fortnite needs to come to place. It's the same thing as like Elon buying Twitter. Now, I'm not going to get into the Elon debate or the Twitter debate or anything like that, but some users have noticed things changing. It's an argument that one could say, oh, there should be a platform that's owned by the people that use it, that is controlled by the people that use it, where it's more user friendly and designing the experience that we want to have. It's the same thing with video games. If you have an interesting game that people are going to want to play, and then money is secondary, but it's developed as a competitor to Fortnite, we can build a better game than Fortnite. I mean, they're learning about the gaming industry and crunch and everything, and how these devs are treated and how these creators are treated. When people are doing it for the passion of doing it and doing it just to create something, and then money is a side effect, I think that is how we create bigger and more beautiful and more impressive things.
No,
And
absolutely. And I understand what you're saying about, on the developing side, like you have to be focused about building a good game and not the money. I'm talking about your player base, right? Because the majority of people who, when they go to play video games, right, they're going to, for the most part, decompress, and just enjoy time, right? So how are you going to get that market share from people who just want to, not risk anything, right? Or, not being expected to be rewarded with money,
see,
and just want to, like, play some Call of Duty or play,
but
some Assassin's
that's
Creed or
just the
whatever.
thing. It's not necessarily about market share. It's about the enjoyment of the game. I play the game because I like it, and then when I'm done with it, I can sell my assets that I've earned or paid for, or I can store it and not ignore it and play, or not play the game for a little while and then come back to it and have all these items that are now rare because there's new things in different collections, and now there are new things that I want, right?
Yeah, if
And
the
I
game
think
doesn't go
the
to zero at that point, though, at the same time, right? Like, I think current companies, have a lot bigger ambitions than what their budget achieves, right? Like raising $4 million off of a min, you're not building, the next groundbreaking game really at all. and we haven't seen it yet. I don't think we will see it for some time. Honestly, what I think is it's going to take a Web 2 company to like try and make that splash.
See, I agree with you that we'll probably have to see Web 2 companies get involved, but I don't think that Web 2 companies are going to perpetually be the leaders. I think I think anybody in Web 3 can create anything that is a powerful enough competitor, just as long as it's fun, and it's got a good use case. I would really like to hear actually what Scott has to say. You've had your hand up for a while, and I think you said you were a game dev, so like I'm speaking way out of my depth of knowledge base here, so I want to kick it to the expert.
Yeah, I'm a full stack engineer. I mean, I have developed in Unity and developed some games, more casual games. I do think, when we talk about games though, there's tiers of games, right? I agree whoever said that Fortnite isn't going to move to the blockchain. I mean, they have no reason to do that. It would really literally, well, I don't even think it would be technically feasible. But yeah, there wouldn't be business reasons either. Maybe they add additions to their platform that are NFT experiences. I can see that. I can see every company diving into that just for extra revenue. But I think there's a tier of games that on a blockchain that can succeed. Yeah, anything with like character evolution, selling up the dream of like WoW or RuneScape on blockchain. Maybe the graphics aren't great, but graphics aren't always the most important thing with a game. People have fun and still play RuneScape, now, and it's not the best graphics, right? People farm that and they like what that's about. So I don't think graphics are like the primary indicator of a good game. I will say the blockchain ecosystem on gaming with P2E and it's had such a negative sentiment around it, and I don't think it's been bad for crypto gaming. So there's a little bit of work that these companies need to do if they're going to introduce blockchain games to show that they're not Ponzi-nomic. Like for example, my game is literally like, I grew up with retro games. It's a click and play adventure game. It's very simple. It's on chain. But the cool thing about it, right, is my UI that I built on top of the smart contracts can be built by anybody. So the idea is like if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, someone can take it over and it will still work. So I do think there's a big opportunity for, say, indie game devs, right? They might not have a big working blockbuster AAA studio budget, but yeah, if they mint out for 1 to 2 million, they could create a cool game, and keep building it from there, and even let community take it over eventually if it's liked. So that's what I'd say about that.
Love it, man. Well, Big Bold Bull, you've had your hand up for a while. What's going on?
This is it, brother. If Bog is still loading up on the feet picks, I got a proposal. 4.5 ETH for my 30 feet, and I'll buy 16 wonkies here in the space right now with it. You gonna take that, Bog? Silence. Anyway, the gauntlet is down. I will do it live in the spaces.
He's pretending not to hear you.
Yeah, that or he's AFK. I mean, he could be.
I won't lie. I nearly fell asleep there for a second. Like, that has not happened in a very long time. I don't even know how. But I was just sitting there, closed my eyes for a second. I looked down. You do one of those quick little sit-up things. That's what happened there for half a second. But we're good now. We're back at it.
As
Sorry,
far
I
as
bored you to sleep with NFTs and gaming talk.
Bro, I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't think that's it. I think just life happens.
It's honestly the appropriate reaction. You don't have to equivocate. It's all good.
Do you remember that one video of that? I forgot who it was, but that trader who was trading on live stream with like max leverage and live streamed himself getting liquidated while sleeping.
Yeah. Are you talking about Keith?
Yeah, it could be. I think so.
It was either Keith or the Asian dude. There are like two of them.
It was the Asian dude.
Okay. Yeah, man, I do remember that. That was unfortunate. But I don't know what that guy's deal is. He had like infinite funds to continue getting liquidated with. I think people said some of it just came from donations, and he would take his donations and just double down with it. But that doesn't even make sense. How do you raise $200,000 of donations like in a couple days to be able to reload the clip with?
Well, because if you have 200,000 people willing to give $1 to watch you you suffer in pain, or 100,000 people to give you $2, like shit adds up. People, like as fucked up as it is, like that's like unfortunately like a high market share of entertainment, right? Is like watching essentially people suffer for your entertainment.
Isn't that what Gainsey does?
Yeah, basically.
You got both. Oh, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I feel like that's one of his greatest strengths.
I was gonna say, yeah, I got both sides. The torture side, and then you got like Mr. Beast. You either go one or the other.
But that's the whole thing, right? There's a marketplace for like fight videos and videos of people just eating more food than should be consumed in one sitting, or podcasts where the hosts like openly hate their listeners and it's just like a bit. Like that can be entertaining and fun in and of itself if you just have absolute contempt for your audience.
Have you guys seen what Rookie's trying to do with the game show?
I'm here for it, man. I came
I
in
think it's pretty
Magnet
cool,
Money
man.
game show.
71st in that poker tournament that he did.
You did
That was
71st,
sick.
nice. I
Yeah.
got knocked out, I think like 216 or something. It ran
71 for my table. I don't know. Yeah, that's impressive, man.
Yeah,
Dude.
it ran really terribly at the end where the blinds were just eating you up. There was a lot of people in that tournament. That was a tough grind. I'm not gonna lie.
It was fun. And I love like poker tournaments and community and stuff, and that's there's value in the community that he's building, and I think that's the important part of any kind of crypto thing or any kind of crypto game. Not to bring it back to that, but like he's building a game show. Like anything that we create, we can have fun with.
I think it's cool, man. I mean, like for instance, I've got a bunch of exchanges that after FTX have tried talking with me to partner with them, and I haven't been in a rush to do anything. But one of the things I'm pushing for, at least starting off with anybody, like there have been people they throw out numbers for whatever for the partnership each month, and bro, what I've gone back to several of these with is I'm just trying to see. I've been like, I don't want any money monthly, like any upfront. I just am trying to maximize the number that they would let me give away to like to the community, because I feel like that's the best good faith thing entering back in any type of partnership, because it's like if I'm going to partner with somebody, I want it to be something that benefits everybody, like, and that's obviously I would only benefit in that situation if people actually do sign up and trade and the marketing actually is working, right? Rather than just getting some monthly whatever, I want that to go out toward people, and I think it's a more effective brand of that too. So I think it's kind of like a win-win-win across the board. So that's kind of what I'm in the process of trying to like negotiate out with a couple people, because I just think it's one of those things. It's a really cool concept, right? Where if somebody gives me, tens of thousands of dollars every month just to be able to hand out, like, I think that's pretty badass.
Rooster, you would know this. Is Icebag still giving away pandas in weekly poker tournaments? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, it is. It's on a momentary pause for the PP system dropping here soon. So as soon as the PP system um, drops,
Yo,
poker's going to resume again.
I'm trying to earn one of those pandas during this little mini NFT craze here. Um, but what are the details on those tournaments? Because this is the first that I'm hearing of it, and obviously I'm a degenerate.
Well, it has evolved, but most recently it was every Saturday at I believe 2 p.m. Eastern time. Poker tournament for all holders. I think maybe pretty much anybody in the Discord could technically play, but you're not going to win one unless if you own one. So that's the most recent one. But the one rookie was holding with the Magnet Money Show, that was free to play for anybody, so anybody could have earned one in that.
Bro, what? Hey, tell me if so. Okay, say that I get a budget from one of these exchanges of like 40 grand a month that I just give away. What should I do to do it effectively? Like, I've thought through a lot of shit, but like, I don't know. I've thought of so many fun things that I could do. Where
Oh yeah, you could do. Oh, I mean, like depend. Like who are you trying to like? What demographic? Like, are you just trying to give it out to anybody random? Are
So here's the deal, right? Like, it's something where with any of those, to be eligible to win it, I'm not the one actually distributing it, right? Like, I would be the one as far as, doing a competition to help select the winners. But the actual distribution, you have to have an account with the exchange. And then from there, like it's so basically they deposit it to the winner based on whatever their account ID is. So I'm just curious, in that type of a situation, like what is the best way of I've got so many ideas for different things that I could do. I don't know. I think it could be a lot of fun. So I don't know. I'm not, I am actively working on some of those different talks because that's the only way that I just feel right. Like going back into any type of partnership agreement with something. Again, it's like if it is something that I know for a fact I can benefit that many more people with, and like honestly be able to go out and say, hey, I am not taking any money outside of like whatever any affiliate commission that comes in from the actual, like I don't know how anybody can get upset with that, right?
So I feel like you just kind of answered your own question. I feel like if you go into it with good intentions and then open heart, and like you've proven consistently that you're a good guy, Kaleo, like one of the best aligned characters of the timeline, and I've followed you for a very long time and have listened to your voice over the course of my crypto career. But like that's just the thing. If you go in and just try to do something for the people, that's good enough. I'd consider like, and again, what Rooster was saying, it depends on your target audience, and also I think it depends on the exchange that you partner with. I think the interesting, my first thought anyway would be as somebody, you could give away like blue chip NFTs that you think. I think that would be the easiest exchange or medium of exchange for folks, and it also gives people a community to be a part of and a group to join and other like-minded people to talk to and learn from. But
well,
depends on
as
what the
great as
experience
that
is.
sounds, I think the majority of these would just be giving out cash, like USDC. So, from there, people could then go out and like buy NFTs, right? If you're giving away like $1,000 a day or something, like that's kind of like the minimum goal that I have with any of these. It's like if there's an exchange that lets me give away at least $1,000 a day,
we
then
give it
I
all to
will go.
Stonks holders.
Then I'll go forward with it. So, nah, bro, I gotta keep it even and fair, buddy. I don't know. We'll see, man. But there are interesting
50-50
things out
final
there, and it all
offer.
goes back to like, I think it all goes back to this, right? Kind of like what you were saying, Neb. There was a long period of time that I was sitting there about like, okay, what's really the next step that I could do with anything like that? With like, because I'm not done trading forever, right? Like, I've been messing around and tinkering with different exchanges. And, from there, it's a matter of, okay, if I am going to actually go out there and partner with anybody, there have been, everybody offers you money directly, right? When you're in a position like mine, and it just hasn't felt right. Like, it just hasn't. And I'm just like, no, like, that's my thing that finally just clicked where I've just been sitting in the sideline. I'm like, well, how long do I wait for whatever? and it just doesn't make sense for me to go forward with something like that. So again, like I just see it as one of those things where if I'm ever going to do something like that again, like that's how it has to start off, right? It has to start off with literally everything that I negotiate going to the community.
It'll be the most fulfilling too at the end of the day. And I think in terms of giving it out, I think you should just try and do as many different routes as possible. Like, you could do poker for some, you could do a marble race so it's totally random for some, or a wheel spin. You could do just a simple retweet and follow the exchange. You could do a bunch of different things.
Yeah,
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 do
so
it
we'll
to
see.
super guppy holders only.
I mean, hey, I think that at the end of the day, I've got to say on what I can do, but I don't think that it's one of those things that I wouldn't. It's got to be something that I feel conscionably like, this is actually right doing it. So we'll see.
Kaleo, bro, you're
Just
thinking too
interesting
much.
stuff to be able to look out for because that may be coming out here soon. And like your money magnet show thing, Neb, is what brought up the topic of me even bringing that up because similar type of concept to what Rookie's doing with that. I think I love what he's doing with that, right? Like nobody gets upset with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, first of all, I think you're thinking about it too much, and maybe you should consider Rooster's idea of giving it to stockholders so that we can surpass that 69,420 goal. I think that has a chance of doing it. We just turn it to a straight up FTX Ponzi. No, but I think that sentiment of what Rookie's trying to do with Magnet Money Show and what you would try to do with this, and partnering with any exchange, I feel like would be good for whatever exchange did it, just to kind of turn around the sentiment and get back in good graces. Because I feel like every negative or every conversation rather that I have with folks are either crypto or newbies that have been burned in the last 12 months, or like I was just at lunch with my parents the other day and my mom asked me if it was really safe to be investing in crypto anymore. So I mean, just I don't want to say combating that narrative, but making people realize that um, this is still the future, still
Oh
something that
yeah.
is good for the majority of people. I think is a good thing.
Hey, quick shout out and quick aside. Sorry to say, pause real quick. I've noticed, dude, there have been a few solid. Looking at the stonk sales that we've had right now, people are just sniping some of these beautiful stonks that have been capitulated. Crow again, bro. I don't get this streak that Crow's been on just accumulating these super bullish stonks. But he has been out there shooting his shot with these WETH offers that are slightly above floor WETH offers for a bunch of incredibly bullish stonks, and people are just accepting them. Like they don't realize the gems that they have. Like I just looked at one of the ones that Crow just got, and I'm like, dude, what in the world? And he got it for 0.24 ETH. 0.24 ETH. Somebody accepted that offer for it. I'm like, bro, that is genius, right? Somebody that just has patience and is just literally curating his collection based on WETH offers is insane. And then the next three that got snagged up for ETH offers are all also solid stonks. There have been some just quality sales today. And looking back, the past 7 hours especially.
I love the bullish stonks. I collect the bullish stonks, and if I can, the ones with the colored backgrounds. It's if I'm gonna collab it with one of my other collections, I want it to look bullish.
That's the thing, bro. I feel like the bullish and Rooster, tell me if I'm wrong here. Do you think the bullish stonks were slept on for a while? I kind of think they were.
I mean, all of the stonks are slept on for a while, if we're being 110%. But
Does
yeah, not
anybody
only
know?
are there less than 50%, like the bullish ones are more rare, return above zero. they do look better. Because I remember, I mean, I was a little agnostic to like the price action in the beginning. Like I went for more aesthetic and rarity rather than price action. Um, and sometimes I'd like make mashups and I like pop up in another community. I'd be like, "Yo, like look at this," and then I'll be like, "Does that mean we're going down?" Like, and just fucking brain dead people. So yeah, I think the bullish ones do have a little bit of a better sentiment, unless if you're a bear, right? Like a trader SD.
Have you guys been looking at other charts right now? Like, I mean, there's a lot of charts that support, like a lot of NFT charts that support Pudgy Pret, the rods. I mean, like, if you're weething here, like, I honestly think you're probably you're bottom ticking it across a lot of things. So
Oh yeah. No, I agree. I mean, but that's the thing. Like, if you're on the other side of the we thing, like, um, like Crow is, that's able to just freaking snag these things for his steal, you are, literally bottom ticking something that I think that if you're just patient with and snag it, like that's the thing with most of these offers. You get a lot of people that are just in it for the liquidity, where they're like, oh, they're market makers, small market makers, albeit, but market makers in some of these different markets, and they put their WETH offer beneath whatever, and then they immediately list it at the floor. Like, bro, whoever does those schemes for the zero point zero 0.01 ETH scalps, like, one, they've got so much more patience than me, but two, bro, why? Like, I just look at the potential upside of that versus the potential downside for that type of mentality. Like, there's no way that those guys are out there just killing it.
No, so it's all bots, and they have it timed for like they just do 10-minute listings, right? Or some even do it like a listing every minute. So it continuously they set the listing time for like 1 minute, 10 minutes, or whatever, and just have the bot do all the work for them. They don't even have to do any manual labor, and it's like that's a true grind when you're really trying to break up. Is like getting through like the 15 bots that are all selling the same NFTs to each other when you're trying to break to that next level. That's a true grind, and yeah, it's very irritating. I do have, full disclosure, I have made like somewhat similar moves when I'm like just putting out a WETH offer, and then it's like pretty ugly one. Like sometimes,
Oh, I
not
get that.
frequently, I'll like, I don't really, it's kind of just like, running
Because
the
a
bit.
WETH offer, if you're doing a collection WETH offer, then like occasionally people will just floor out gems, right? And you're like, okay, if it's not the gem that you wanted, then it's like, okay, I'll just put it slightly above whatever. I get that. You're like, okay, just continue the roller coaster until you get the one you want.
Yeah, I have done that. But it is very annoying that how easy it is for people to set up a bot and just like uh, completely irritate the whole project.
no, yeah, doing that for like making high frequency bots on like in a liquid market is pretty dumb, honestly. I don't know. I feel like the whole concept doesn't make sense. Maybe later on if there's a ton of liquidity, but at the
Well, yeah,
current,
that's the thing, right? Like that's what I'm saying right now. I think in a trending market, whenever everything is actually moving and you get the buyers back in here, like whenever that unique buyers count starts to increase, volume across the market starts to increase, makes a ton of sense, right? But, from the flip side, whenever everything's relatively flat and you're still keeping those bots running, I don't get it, bro. Like that's tough because it's just like I think a lot of the time I end up seeing those guys, whatever the bots are, they end up listing beneath and they end up like wrecking themselves in the process.
yeah, you're
It's
better off.
glory. Like I love when I see that happens. Like or when it moves up too quickly, right? One of the ones that get floored sells, and then their WETH offer rises like 0.05, and then they buy the same exact one that they just sold for like 0.05 less.
But
I
bro, at
love
the end
seeing
of the
that
day, I'm all
shit.
for it because at the end of the day, like, there's some people, that'll get completely upset at that type of stuff. Dude, I disagree. I think anything that adds more liquidity to your collection, anything that's able to add like liquidity at all, everything has a place, you know, a role to play into it. And bro, I think those are actually healthier to have than not have. right? Because otherwise, what's going to happen? Like, if you've got nobody accepting your wheat offers, nobody putting them out there in the first place, like, it's not healthy. It's a lot better to have something than nothing.
Everybody hated "Please accept my offer" until he wasn't there anymore, right?
Yes, bro. I remember that guy from back in the day. He even changed his name, I think, to "I Love Wonkies."
He was the OG pioneer of the offers. It was before the bots came out. I remember one time he either came in Discord or came up on a space and was like, he was like, yeah, it's all automated now, but he was like, back in the beginning, it was like I used to manually do every single offer, and that is a grind I can respect. Like I think you should have to be able to or you should have to put in more work than these bots are doing.
That's wild, man. That is pure insanity, but I respect the hustle. Well, gents, I apologize. I had something this morning, couldn't make it to church, so I'm going to try to hit up the evening service. So I got to wrap this space a little bit early. Who knows? Might end up doing one later on. We will see. Either way, we will be back tomorrow. So appreciate it, gents. It has been
Later,
fun.
guys. Take care.
Stonks are inevitable.